The warning alarm screamed through the Zetharian Empire monitoring station. Lieutenant Quarks jumped from his chair, his forearms moving quickly across the control panels. The screen showed red dots blinking in the outer rim sector. "Sir, we have multiple distress signals from the Krevik territory," Quarks called to his commander. Commander Yilek walked over with heavy steps. His tall blue-skinned frame cast a shadow over the control station. The Zetharian had seen many battles in his long life, but something felt wrong about this situation. "Show me the signals," Yilek ordered. The main screen displayed a map of the galaxy's edge. Red markers blinked where the Krevik Marauder fleet was supposed to be. The Krevish were pirates who had caused trouble for decades. They attacked merchant ships, raided colonies, and fought anyone who got in their way. The Empire usually left them alone because they stayed in the worthless outer systems. "The signals are breaking up, sir," Quarks reported. "Wait." They just stopped. The red dots vanished from the screen. Where dozens of Krevik ships had been sending distress calls, now there was only silence. "Technical error?" Yilek asked. Ko. RX shook his head. "No, sir. The signals were real. They were screaming about some kind of attack." Then everything went quiet at the same time. Yilek felt a chill run down his spine. The Krevik fleet had over 50 warships. They were brutal fighters with stolen Imperial weapons. What could make them all go silent at once? "Send a scout ship to investigate," he ordered. 3 days later, the scout ship's report arrived at the main Imperial fleet. Admiral Vexthara read the data with growing confusion. She had commanded fleets for 40 years and had never seen anything like this. The scout had found the Krevik territory, but not the Kreviks. Instead, there were debris fields floating in space. Twisted metal, burned hull pieces, and radiation clouds marked where ships used to be. But the destruction was wrong somehow. "Dr. Kanto, come look at this," Admiral Vexthara called. The small, gray-skinned scientist hurried to her side. Dr. Kanto was the Empire's best expert on alien technology. If anyone could explain this mystery, it was him. "The weapon signatures don't match anything in our database," the Admiral said, pointing at the data. "Look at these energy readings." Dr. Kanto studied the numbers. His large eyes grew wider as he read. "This is impossible. These energy levels are beyond what any known civilization can produce. Are you sure the readings are correct?" "I checked them 3 times. The weapons that did this generated power equal to a small star. But that's not the strangest part." Admiral Vexthara leaned closer. "What do you mean?" "The debris analysis shows molecular disruption. The ships weren't just destroyed, they were torn apart at the atomic level. This kind of damage should be impossible with current technology." The Admiral felt her stomach drop. In all her years of service, she had never encountered a weapon that could do such things. The Empire had fought many wars and cataloged every dangerous technology they found. But this was something new. Could it be an ancient weapon? Something left over from the old wars? She asked. Dr. Kanto shook his head. "The radiation signatures are too fresh. This happened recently, and it was done by someone who is still out there." Admiral Vexthara called up the Empire's main database. The system contained information about every known species in the galaxy. Over 50,000 years of exploration, contact, and war had built this massive collection of knowledge. She entered the weapon signatures and waited. The computer searched through billions of records. It checked weapon designs, energy patterns, and destruction methods. After several minutes, a message appeared on the screen. "No match found." "Run it again," the Admiral ordered. The computer searched a second time with the same result. Then a third time. No matter how many times they tried, the database could not identify who or what had destroyed the Krevik fleet. "This doesn't make sense," Dr. Kanto muttered. The Empire has records of every spacefaring civilization. We've been exploring the galaxy longer than anyone. Admiral Vexthara stared at the empty search results. In the Empire's long history, their database had never failed to identify a technology. They had fought the crystal-based Vorthan, the energy beings from the galactic core, and the machine armies of the Outer Rim. Every weapon, every ship design, every military tactic was recorded and studied. But now they faced something that didn't exist in their records. Either their database was broken, or someone new had entered the galaxy. The Admiral called her communication officer. "Send a message to Imperial Command. Tell them we have a Code 7 situation." Code 7 meant unknown hostile force. It was a classification that hadn't been used in over 1,000 years. The Empire had grown comfortable, thinking they knew about every threat in space. As the message was sent, another report arrived from a different scout ship. The Kraviniak stronghold on Malthor Prime had been found in ruins. The planet's surface showed the same impossible weapon signatures. Whatever had attacked the fleet had also destroyed their main base. "Admiral," Dr. Kelto said quietly, "there's something else. The attack pattern suggests this wasn't random destruction. Someone specifically targeted the Kravaic fleet and their bases. This was planned." Admiral Vexthara nodded grimly. The implications were clear. Some unknown force had deliberately hunted down and destroyed one of the galaxy's most dangerous pirate fleets. They had done it with weapons beyond Imperial understanding, and they had done it without leaving any trace of their identity. "Double the patrols in this sector," she ordered, "and prepare a full investigation fleet. We need to find out who did this before they decide to target someone else." As the Admiral's orders spread through the fleet, none of them realized they were looking for an enemy that their computers said shouldn't exist. The Zetharian Empire, rulers of half the galaxy, had just encountered their first real mystery in 1,000 years. Somewhere in the darkness of space, the unknown force that had destroyed the Kravik marauders continued their mission. They moved silently through the void, hunting their next target, completely unaware that the galaxy's greatest empire was now desperately searching for them. Dr. Kelto had not slept in 3 days. His small office was covered with data screens, analysis reports, and empty food containers. The mystery of the Kravavik destruction consumed his thoughts completely. "Computer, run analysis pattern 77 Alpha again," he said to his workstation. The machine hummed as it processed the weapon signatures for the 100th time. Dr. Kelto had tried every possible search method. He compared the energy patterns to every known weapon in the Empire's database. He checked ancient archives, classified military files, and even theoretical weapon designs that had never been built. Every search came back with the same result: no match found. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Admiral Vexthara's face appeared on his communication screen. "Doctor, I need your report for Imperial Command. They're asking questions I can't answer." Dr. Kelto rubbed his tired eyes. "Admiral, I have analyzed everything we collected from the attack sites. The weapon technology is completely unknown to us." "How is that possible?" "Our database contains 50,000 years of galactic history. I know it sounds impossible, but the facts are clear. These weapons use kinetic projectiles accelerated to near light speed. But the acceleration method is unlike anything we've seen." Admiral Vexthara frowned. "Kinetic weapons? Those are primitive. Most civilizations stopped using them thousands of years ago. That's what makes this so strange. The basic principle is old and simple, but the execution is far beyond our capabilities. Somehow, these attackers can accelerate small pieces of metal to incredible speeds without using the massive energy systems we would need." As they talked, another alert sounded through the ship. Communications Officer Zeltar contacted the Admiral immediately. "Admiral, we have reports of 3 more attacks. The Krvavik strongholds at Nexus Station, Dark Harbor, and the Skull Nebula have all been destroyed. Dr. Kalto felt his heart sink. Same weapon signatures? Identical, sir. Whatever force is doing this, they're moving fast and hitting multiple targets. Admiral Vexthara stood up from her chair. This is no longer just about the Kraviks. We're dealing with a coordinated military campaign. Someone is systematically destroying the most dangerous pirate organization in this sector. She paused, thinking about the implications. Doctor, could this be some kind of Imperial Black project? A secret weapon we don't know about? Dr. Kalto shook his head. I have clearance to access all Imperial weapon research. This technology doesn't match any of our development programs, not even the classified ones. Then we're dealing with an outside force. The question is, who are they and what do they want? The answer came sooner than expected. Later that day, a merchant ship entered Imperial space requesting emergency docking. Captain Jorik commanded a small trading vessel that worked the dangerous outer rim routes. His ship was damaged, and his crew looked shaken. We were approached by Krvavik raiders yesterday. Captain Jorik reported to the station commander. 3 of their attack ships surrounded us and demanded our cargo. The station commander listened with interest. Merchant ships were often attacked in the outer rim, but most didn't survive to tell about it. How did you escape? The commander asked. That's the strange part. We didn't fight them. We were preparing to surrender when the Krvavik ships suddenly stopped attacking. Their leader started screaming something about the hunters and death ships. Then all 3 vessels turned around and fled at maximum speed. The commander leaned forward. They just left? Without taking your cargo? Yes, sir. They seemed terrified of something. We never saw what scared them, but 20 minutes later, we detected massive energy discharges from the direction they had fled. The report was forwarded to Admiral Vexthara within hours. She read it with growing concern. The mysterious attackers were getting closer to Imperial territory, and they were having a psychological effect on the pirates even before the fighting started. Dr. Kalto received the merchant ship's sensor data and added it to his analysis. The energy discharges matched the weapon signatures from the earlier attacks perfectly. Admiral, we have a problem, he reported. Based on the timing and locations of these attacks, I can track the movement pattern of our unknown force. Show me. Dr. Kalto displayed a star map on the main screen. Red markers showed each attack site, with lines connecting them in chronological order. They're not moving randomly. This is a planned operation with specific targets. They're hunting down every major Krvavik base and fleet group in a systematic pattern. Admiral Vexthara studied the map. If this pattern continues, where will they strike next? The Krvavik Command Center at Bloodfang Station. It's their largest remaining stronghold. How long do we have? Based on their movement speed between attacks, approximately 18 hours. Admiral Vexthara made a decision that would change everything. Prepare a stealth reconnaissance ship. I want eyes on Bloodfang Station when these attackers arrive. It's time we got a look at who we're dealing with. Admiral, that's extremely dangerous. If they can destroy the Krvavik fleet so easily, what chance does one reconnaissance ship have? We'll stay hidden and observe from maximum range. But we need intelligence about this force. The Empire cannot function when there are unknown military powers operating in our territory. As the preparations began, Dr. Kalto continued his analysis. He had found something troubling in the attack patterns. The weapon signatures were incredibly advanced, but some of the tactical approaches seemed almost primitive by Imperial standards. The attackers used direct frontal assaults instead of the complex battle formations favored by advanced civilizations. They relied on overwhelming firepower rather than sophisticated electronic warfare. Their ship movements, while effective, followed patterns that reminded him of historical military tactics from the early space age. It was as if someone had taken ancient warfare concepts and equipped them with incredibly advanced weapons. The combination should not have worked, but somehow it was proving devastatingly effective against the Kraveks. Computer, search for any civilizations that use kinetic weapons as primary armament, he ordered. The database returned a list of primitive species that had not yet developed energy weapons. None of them had space travel capability. Search for any species that uses frontal assault tactics in space combat. Again, the results showed only primitive civilizations without the technology for interstellar warfare. Dr. Kelto stared at the data in confusion. Everything about these attackers suggested a young, developing civilization. But their weapons technology was beyond anything in the galaxy. The contradiction made no sense. As the reconnaissance ship prepared to launch, none of them realized they were about to witness something that would change their understanding of the galaxy forever. The Empire was about to meet an enemy that didn't exist in their records, because their records were incomplete. Somewhere in the darkness, the hunters continued their mission, unaware that the galaxy's greatest empire was finally beginning to take notice of their work. The reconnaissance ship Silent Observer dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Bloodfang system. Captain Dexv ordered all systems to minimum power and engaged the stealth field. Through the darkness of space, they could see the massive Krevik command station, orbiting a dead world. Bloodfang Station is operating normally, reported Sensor Officer Malik. I count 47 Kravik warships in defensive positions around the Folmi station. Captain Dexv nodded. The Kraviks had turned their command center into a fortress. Defensive platforms, minefields, and patrol ships protected every approach. If the mysterious attackers wanted to destroy this place, they would face the largest concentration of pirate firepower in the sector. How long until the predicted attack time? Dexv asked. 16 minutes, sir. The bridge crew waited in tense silence. Dr. Kelto had been remarkably accurate in his predictions so far. If he was right about the timing, they would soon get their first look at the galaxy's newest mystery. Contact bearing 27 Mark V, Malik announced suddenly. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. The main screen focused on the area Malik indicated. Space seemed to ripple, and then ships began to appear. But these were not like any vessels in the Imperial database. How many ships? Captain Dexv asked. Counting now. 12 vessels. They're maintaining formation, but not like any military pattern one recognizes. The unknown ships were sleek and metallic, with no obvious weapons visible on their hulls. They moved with smooth precision, but their design was completely alien. No curved surfaces or artistic elements like most advanced civilizations preferred. These ships were built for function, not beauty. Are they scanning us? Dexv asked nervously. Negative. They don't seem to have detected our presence. The mysterious fleet advanced toward Bloodfang Station. The Kravik defenders immediately went to red alert. Pirate ships moved into attack formations while the station's weapons powered up. The Kravags are hailing the unknown ships, Communications Officer Yent reported. Standard pirate demands. Identify yourself or be destroyed. Any response? None, sir. The unknown ships are maintaining course and speed. What happened next shocked everyone on the reconnaissance ship. The Kravaga fleet, notorious for its aggression, did not immediately attack. Instead, several pirate ships actually began retreating. Sir, I'm picking up Kravik communications, Yent said. They're afraid. They're calling these ships the Death Fleet and Nightmare Hunters. Afraid? The Kravaviks are afraid of 12 ships? Before anyone could answer, the battle began. The unknown vessels opened fire simultaneously. But their weapons were unlike anything the Imperial crew had seen, instead of energy beams or plasma bursts. The attackers fired what appeared to be simple metal projectiles. But these projectiles moved at incredible speed, crossing the distance between fleets in seconds. The first Kravik ship to be hit simply disappeared. One moment it was there, the next it was expanding debris and radiation. "Impossible," whispered Dr. Kelto, who was monitoring from Admiral Vextora's flagship. That was a direct kinetic impact, but the energy release was enormous. The Kravik return fire consisted of stolen Imperial plasma weapons and missile salvos. The unknown ships responded with maneuvers that defied understanding. They moved in ways that should have crushed their crews with acceleration forces. Yet they maintained perfect formation. "Those ships are pulling at least 40 gravities in their turns," Malik reported in disbelief. "Nothing living could survive that. Maybe they're automated?" suggested Dexvi. "No, sir. I'm detecting life signs aboard those vessels. But the readings are strange." The battle continued for only 8 minutes. When it ended, every Kravik ship was destroyed or fleeing. Bloodfang Station itself had been reduced to twisted metal and plasma fires. The unknown fleet remained completely intact. "Did we get detailed scans of their ships?" Dr. Kelto asked over the communication link. "Yes, but you're not going to believe the results," Malik replied. "Their ship construction uses materials we recognize, but assembled in ways that shouldn't work. It's like they took our basic engineering principles and improved them through methods we never considered." As the reconnaissance crew watched, something extraordinary happened. The unknown ships began moving closer to their position. Not attacking, but clearly investigating. "They've detected us," Captain Dexvi said quietly. "Should we run?" asked his navigator. "No. Maintain position and power down everything except life support. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done already." One of the unknown ships approached to within a few kilometers. At that range, the Imperial sensors could pick up incredible detail. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about their mysterious attackers. "Captain, I'm reading bipedal life forms aboard that vessel," Malik reported with shock. "They're working in what appears to be environmental suits. They're conducting external repairs on their ship's hull." "Bipedal? Show me." The main screen displayed the enhanced sensor reading. Through the hull of the unknown ship, they could see figures moving around. They had 2 arms, 2 legs, and stood upright like several galactic species. But these beings wore bulky suits that covered their entire bodies. "They're not like any species in our database," Malik continued. "Their body proportions are different. And sir, they appear to be using hand tools." Dr. Kelto's voice crackled over the communication link. "Hand tools? Species that can build ships like those should have automated repair systems." "That's what I thought too. But they're definitely doing manual work." The unknown ship finished its inspection and began to move away. Before it left, it transmitted a brief signal directly at the silent observer. "Did they just scan us?" Dexvi asked. "More than that, sir. They took detailed readings of our ship design, power systems, and crew composition. But they didn't attempt to communicate or attack. As the mysterious fleet departed, they didn't use the hyperspace jump points that most civilizations required. Instead, they seemed to simply accelerate to faster-than-light speeds without any visible technology." "Follow them?" asked the navigator. "No, we've seen enough. Set course for Admiral Vexthar's position." The trip back to the Imperial fleet gave everyone time to think about what they had witnessed. The unknown force was clearly not interested in conquest or territory. They had systematically destroyed the Kravik pirates, but had not claimed any of their bases or resources. "It's like they were cleaning house," Captain Dexvi remarked to his crew. "Removing a problem rather than expanding an empire." When they rejoined Admiral Vexthera's fleet, the debriefing session lasted for hours. Every detail of the encounter was analyzed and recorded. The most disturbing fact, Dr. Kanto concluded, is not just that these beings are unknown to us. It's that their technology follows patterns we've never seen. They've solved engineering problems using completely different approaches than any known civilization. Admiral Vexthara studied the sensor data with growing unease. If they can defeat the Krevek fleet this easily, what could they do to an Imperial fleet? I don't think we want to find out. Captain Vex V replied quietly. As reports of the encounter spread through Imperial Command, one fact became clear. The galaxy had a new player. Someone had entered the game with technology and tactics that didn't match any known pattern. The Empire had always believed they were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Now they faced the possibility that they were wrong. Somewhere in space, the unknown fleet continued its mission. They had noticed the Imperial reconnaissance ship, but had determined it posed no threat to their objectives. The pirates were their target, not the Empire. But the Empire didn't know that. All they knew was that 12 ships had destroyed one of the galaxy's most dangerous pirate fleets in 8 minutes. And nobody knew who they were or where they had come from. The hunt for answers was about to become the Empire's highest priority. Admiral Vexthara authorized the largest intelligence operation in Imperial history. Every available stealth ship, monitoring station, and spy satellite was directed to find the mysterious fleet. The Empire needed answers, and they needed them quickly. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Captain Jorik, the merchant who had escaped the Krevek attack, requested a private meeting with Imperial intelligence. He claimed to have additional information about the unknown force. Intelligence. Officer Rallman met with Captain Jorik aboard his trading ship. The human appeared nervous, constantly checking his instruments and looking out the viewports. "You said you had new information about the attackers," Rallman began. Captain Jorik nodded slowly. "I wasn't completely honest in my first report. My ship has better sensors than most merchants can afford. I saw more than I told your people. What did you see?" "After the Krevek ships fled, I detected the attacking vessels. 12 ships, just like in your reports. But I also picked up their communications." Rallman leaned forward with interest. "You intercepted their communications? Why didn't you report this immediately?" "Because what I heard didn't make sense. The language was completely unknown, but my ship's computer managed to record everything." Captain Jorik activated a playback device. Strange sounds filled the room, voices speaking in rapid, clipped tones. The language had a harsh quality, with sharp consonants and short vowel sounds. "My linguistic analysis software can't identify this language family," Jorik continued. "It doesn't match any known galactic language, not even ancient ones." Rallman copied the recording immediately. "Anything else?" "Yes. After the attack, I detected one of their ships conducting what looked like a salvage operation. They were collecting debris from the Krevek vessels." "Collecting debris? For what purpose?" "Unknown, but they were very systematic about it. They took specific pieces of hull plating, weapon components, and computer cores. Like they were studying Krevek technology." This information reached Dr. Kanto within hours. He had been working around the clock, trying to understand the attackers' technology. And this new data provided crucial clues. If they're studying Krevek equipment, they might be learning about our technology too, he reported to Admiral Vexthara. "The Kreveks use mostly stolen Imperial weapons. You think they're gathering intelligence about the Empire? It's possible. But there's something else. I've been analyzing the linguistic patterns in Captain Jorik's recordings. The language structure suggests these beings think in very direct, practical terms. Most galactic languages have evolved to include complex social and political concepts. This language appears optimized for efficiency and clarity." Admiral Vexthara considered the implications. "Military communications? Possibly. But if so, it's unlike any military communication protocol we know. The speech patterns suggest a species that values directness over diplomacy. 3 days later, another intelligence breakthrough occurred. A deep space monitoring station detected the mysterious fleet near an uninhabited system. This time, Imperial Command authorized a close surveillance mission. The stealth ship, Shadow's Edge, approached the unknown fleet's position carefully. What they discovered changed everything the Empire thought they knew about their mysterious visitors. "Admiral, you need to see this immediately," reported Captain Zektar from the Shadow's Edge. Admiral Vextara reviewed the sensor data with growing amazement. The unknown fleet had established a temporary base around a small asteroid. Their ships were arranged in a defensive formation, but they were also conducting extensive operations. "They're mining the asteroid," Dr. Kelto observed. "But not for rare metals or energy crystals. They're extracting common materials: iron, nickel, basic elements. Why would an advanced civilization need such primitive materials? Maybe they're not as advanced as we thought. Or maybe they use technology that requires different materials than we do." The most shocking discovery came when the surveillance team observed the unknown beings working outside their ships. Through enhanced visual sensors, they could see the attackers directly for the first time. "They're definitely bipedal," Captain Zektar reported. Approximately 2 meters tall, four-limbed, similar body structure to several known species. But their environmental suits are unlike anything in our database. The suits were bulky and functional, with no artistic elements or status indicators. Every component appeared designed for maximum efficiency and protection. The beings moved with quick, coordinated precision as they worked. "Look at their work patterns," Dr. Kelto noted. "They're incredibly organized, but they use manual labor for tasks that most species would automate. It's like they prefer hands-on work. Or like they don't trust automated systems," Admiral Vexthara suggested. The surveillance revealed another crucial detail. The unknown beings were modifying their ships using the materials they collected from the asteroid. They worked constantly, improving their vessel's armor, weapons, and systems. "They're not just maintaining their fleet," Captain Zektar reported. "They're upgrading it, using practical field modifications that our engineers would never consider." Dr. Kelto studied the modification patterns with fascination. These improvements are brilliant in their simplicity. They found ways to increase weapon power and ship durability using basic engineering principles. But they're doing it more efficiently than our most advanced shipyards. How is that possible? They're not bound by our design traditions. Look at how they've rearranged the internal systems. They've eliminated redundancies and optimized everything for combat effectiveness. It's like they started with the goal of building the most efficient warship possible and worked backward from there. The most significant discovery came when the surveillance team detected additional ships approaching the asteroid base. 3 more vessels arrived, but these were different from the original fleet. They were larger, with different design characteristics, and they carried what appeared to be supplies and personnel. Reinforcements? Admiral Vexthora wondered. Possibly. But notice the ship designs. They're similar in function, but different in construction. Like they were built by the same species, but at different times or locations. Dr. Kelto made a startling connection. "Admiral, I think these beings are relatively new to space travel. Their ship designs show rapid evolution in technology. The newer vessels incorporate lessons learned from the older ones. You're suggesting they're a young spacefaring civilization?" The evidence points that way. But if so, how did they develop such advanced weapons so quickly? The answer came from an unexpected source. As the Imperial surveillance team watched, the unknown beings began conducting what appeared to be a military briefing. Their communications increased dramatically. and the linguistic analysis software aboard the Shadow's Edge detected patterns in their language. "Captain, I'm reading something strange in their communications," the linguistics officer reported. "The language includes technical terms that don't match anything in our database. But some of the mathematical concepts are familiar. Explain." "They're discussing tactical formations and weapon configurations using mathematical principles we recognize. But they're applying them in ways we never considered. It's like they took basic military science and developed it along completely different lines." Dr. Kelm to receive the linguistic analysis with growing excitement. "Admiral, I think I understand what we're dealing with. These beings approach warfare as a problem to be solved, not as a political tool. Their language reflects a mindset focused on efficiency and practical results. Are you saying they're natural warriors?" "Not warriors, problem solvers. They've applied the same analytical approach to combat that most species apply to engineering or science. That's why their technology seems both primitive and advanced. They've optimized everything for effectiveness." As the surveillance mission concluded, one final detail caught everyone's attention. Captain Jorik's merchant ship appeared in the same system, apparently conducting routine trading operations. But instead of avoiding the unknown fleet, he actually approached their position. Is he insane? Captain Zektar wondered. Those ships could destroy him instantly, but the unknown fleet didn't attack. Instead, they allowed Captain Jorik's ship to come close enough for communication. After a brief exchange, his vessel departed peacefully. Captain Jorik is in communication with them, Admiral Vexthara realized. He's been talking to them all along. As the Imperial fleet processed this revelation, they began to understand that their mystery was about to be solved. But the answer would challenge everything they thought they knew about the galaxy and their place in it. The unknown force wasn't just another alien species. They were something entirely new, a civilization that had developed along completely different lines than any other in galactic history, and they were about to reveal themselves to the Empire. The final confrontation came sooner than Admiral Vexthara expected. Imperial sensors detected massive energy signatures from the Krivek Fortress, their last remaining stronghold. This was a battle station the size of a small moon, armed with stolen Imperial weapons and protected by the surviving pirate fleet. Admiral, the unknown force is engaging the Krivek Fortress, reported Communications Officer Zeltar. This is their largest operation yet. Admiral Vexthara made a decision that would change galactic history. Plot a course for the fortress system. Maximum speed. This time, we're going to get answers. Dr. Kelm protested immediately. Admiral, we all know their intentions toward the Empire. Approaching an active battle zone could be seen as an act of aggression. Doctor, we've been reacting to this mystery for weeks. It's time to take action. If these beings pose a threat to the Empire, I need to know now. The Imperial fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the fortress system. What they found exceeded their worst expectations. The unknown force had brought not 12 ships, but over 30 vessels of various sizes and designs. They had surrounded the massive Krivek battle station and were conducting a coordinated assault. My gods, whispered Captain Dexv from the reconnaissance ship. Look at their formation. They're using tactics I've never seen before. The unknown ships attacked from multiple directions simultaneously, but not in the complex patterns favored by advanced civilizations. Instead, they used simple, brutal efficiency. Some ships drew defensive fire, while others struck at critical targets. When one ship was damaged, others immediately covered its retreat. They're treating this like a problem to be solved, Dr. Kelto observed. No fancy maneuvers, no showing off. Just practical tactics designed to achieve victory with minimal losses. The Krivek battle station fought desperately. Its massive weapons could destroy any single attacker, but the unknown fleet never gave it a clear target. They moved constantly, coordinating their attacks with precision that spoke of extensive combat experience. "Admiral, I'm detecting additional contacts approaching the battle zone," Zeltar announced. 3 ships, different design pattern. Wait, those are Imperial transponder codes. Admiral Vexthara felt her stomach drop. What Imperial ship would be operating in this system? The answer came as the 3 ships moved into visual range. They weren't Imperial military vessels. They were merchant ships, including Captain Jorek's trading vessel. "The merchants are moving toward the unknown fleet," Captain Dexvy reported in disbelief. "They're not fleeing. They're joining the formation." "Joining them?" "Confirmed. Captain Jorek's ship just took position in the unknown fleet's defensive line. They're working together." Admiral Vexthara opened communication channels immediately. "This is Admiral Vexthara of the Zetharian Imperial Fleet. All civilian vessels return to Imperial space immediately." Captain Jorek's voice crackled over the communication system. "Admiral, I'm afraid I can't do that. I have orders to maintain my position." "Orders? From whom?" Before Captain Jorek could answer, the battle reached its climax. The unknown fleet focused their fire on the fortress's main reactor. Their kinetic weapons, moving at impossible speeds, punched through layers of armor that should have been impenetrable. The Krevek fortress exploded in a chain reaction that lit up the entire system. In the aftermath, as debris rained through space, one of the unknown ships approached the Imperial fleet. Admiral Vexthara ordered her weapons powered but not targeted. "Admiral, the approaching ship is broadcasting on standard Imperial frequencies," Zeltar reported. "They want to talk." The main screen activated, showing the bridge of the unknown vessel. Admiral Vexthara expected to see an alien environment, strange technology, and exotic beings. Instead, she saw a control room that looked remarkably familiar. The design was different from Imperial ships, but the basic concepts were recognizable. And standing in the center of the bridge was a figure in an environmental suit. The figure reached up and removed its helmet, revealing the face beneath. Dr. Counto gasped. That's a human." The being on the screen looked exactly like the humans in the Empire's historical database. But according to Imperial records, humans were a primitive species from a backwater world called Earth. They had barely developed space travel and were considered irrelevant to galactic affairs. "Greetings, Admiral Vexthara," the human said in accented but clear Imperial standard. "I am Commander Sarah Chun of the Terran Colonial Defense Force. I apologize for the confusion, but we've been conducting anti-piracy operations in this sector." Admiral Vexthara stared at the screen in shock. "You're human? From Earth?" "That's correct. Though we prefer the term Terran now. We've been spacefaring for about 200 years. 200 years? Dr. Counto interrupted from his position. "Our last survey of your system indicated you had barely achieved orbital flight." Commander Chun smiled. "Your last survey was 300 years ago. We've been busy since then." Captain Jorek's image appeared on a split screen. Admiral Vexthara noticed for the first time that he looked exactly like the human commander, just in civilian clothes. "Captain Jorek," Admiral Vexthara said slowly, "you're human too." "Yes, Admiral. Captain Jorek is my working identity. My actual name is James Harrison, Terran Colonial Intelligence. I've been monitoring this sector for potential threats to human colonies." The revelations came quickly after that. The Terran Colonial Defense Force had been operating in the Outer Rim for decades, protecting human settlements from pirate attacks. They had systematically hunted down the most dangerous criminal organizations, but had avoided contact with Imperial forces. "Why hide from us?" Admiral Vexthara asked. Commander Chun's expression became serious. Because we studied your empire's history. You have a tendency to absorb smaller civilizations. We preferred to remain independent until we were strong enough to negotiate as equals. Strong enough? You destroyed the entire Kravek organization with 30 ships. The Kraveks were pirates, Admiral. They relied on stolen weapons and intimidation tactics. They weren't prepared to face a coordinated military force. Dr. Kalento couldn't contain his scientific curiosity. Your weapons technology. How did you develop such advanced kinetic systems? Commander Chun looked amused. Advanced? Admiral, those are railguns. We've been using electromagnetic acceleration for over a century. We just scaled them up for space combat. But the energy requirements... We don't use the same power systems you do. We focused on efficiency rather than exotic technologies. Turns out, you can do amazing things with simple principles if you optimize properly. Admiral Vexthara felt the foundation of her understanding shifting. Your ship designs, your tactics, everything about your military is different from known patterns. Because we developed differently. We didn't have access to Imperial technology, so we had to innovate. We approached space warfare as an engineering problem rather than a political statement. Commander Chun continued, we studied every military conflict in galactic history. Most species fight for territory, resources, or ideology. We fight to solve problems. When the Kravavik pirates threatened our colonies, we developed solutions to eliminate that threat permanently. And now? Now the pirates are gone, and we're ready to introduce ourselves properly. The Terran colonial government has authorized me to begin formal diplomatic contact with the Zetharian Empire. Dr. Kalento was frantically checking his database. This doesn't make sense. Humans shouldn't be capable of this level of technological development in such a short time. Commander Chun's smile returned. Doctor, I think your database needs an update. Humans have a tendency to exceed expectations when we're properly motivated. As the meeting continued, Admiral Vexthara began to understand the magnitude of what had happened. The Empire's database hadn't failed. It had simply never been updated to reflect humanity's rapid development. They had dismissed Earth as unimportant and never bothered to check again. How many human colonies are there? She asked. 47 worlds, with a combined population of about 2 billion. We're not large by galactic standards, but we're growing quickly. And your military capabilities? Sufficient to defend ourselves and our interests. We have no intention of conquering anyone, but we won't be conquered either. The conversation was interrupted by alerts from Imperial Command. Word of the human contact was spreading through the Empire's government. And Admiral Vexthara was receiving urgent orders to proceed with formal diplomatic protocols. Commander Chun, Admiral Vexthara said, it seems both our governments want to talk. Are you prepared to meet with Imperial representatives? That's why I'm here, Admiral. Though I should warn you, humans negotiate differently than most species. We prefer direct discussion of practical matters over elaborate diplomatic ceremonies. Dr. Kalento was still processing the implications. Admiral, this changes everything. We've been operating under the assumption that we knew about all significant galactic civilizations. If humans could develop this far without our knowledge, what other civilizations might we have overlooked? As the Imperial fleet prepared for the historic first contact protocols, Admiral Vexthara reflected on the lessons of the past weeks. The Empire had grown complacent, assuming their knowledge was complete and their superiority unquestionable.